that starts today with tech evangelist and author Guy Kawasaki. Guy is currently the chief evangelist of Canva, which is an online graphics design tool. Before that, I know he was the advisor to Motorola Business Unit over at Google. He was the chief evangelist at Apple. I think that's probably what he was most famous for in his career. He's also, though, written 10 books. He is a prolific author. He wants to come up and share his thoughts on the art of innovation. Please welcome Guy Kawasaki.
That said, my most important qualification is I'm a very happy Rackspace customer. So I have a website called AllTop, which is an aggregation of feeds by topics. And that and another site, which is a curation site for news called Holy Cow, K-A-W, is also on Rackspace. So I know from firsthand knowledge how great Rackspace is. Very happy Rackspace customer. I have to say, John, you have very nice slides. I was very impressed. Yeah, clearly you didn't do them yourself. So I'm here today to talk about the art of innovation, a little bit more about my background. And you know, do you know what plantar fasciitis is? Have any of you heard of that? Okay, so I have that right now, and it's killing me. So if you don't mind, I'm going to sit down and give this presentation, okay? Because my leg is just killing me. So it's not the optimal way to give a speech sitting down, but I can't do it standing up. So I worked at Apple from 83 to 87. I was Apple's software evangelist. My job was to convince developers to create Macintosh hardware and Macintosh software. Of course, this meant that I worked in the Macintosh division, which meant that I worked for Steve Jobs, which was a very interesting experience, using the word interesting very, very loosely. Steve Jobs was a remarkable person. I would not be where I am were it not for his influence. But it was not easy to work for him, just let's say that. A very illustrative story is one day I was working in my cubicle, and Steve shows up with somebody I'd never met, and he says to me, Guy, have you heard of this company called Knoware, K-N-O-W-A-R-E? It stood for Knowledge Software. And I said, well, Steve, yes, I have. It's kind of an MS-DOS-based company, lousy graphics, drill and practice, doesn't take advantage of graphics, mouse, color, anything, not really a strategic company for us. And then he says to me, Guy, I want you to meet the CEO of Knoware. So that was what life was like in the Macintosh division. Arguably, the Macintosh division was the largest collection of egomaniacs in the history of Silicon Valley. That's saying a lot, believe me. We held that record for about 30 years. Facebook just broke it, but we held that record for quite a while. And we had this great charge to change the world, and it was because of Steve. So I think the world is a lot less interesting. Technology is a lot less interesting with Steve having passed away, but I can pretty much guarantee you that right now he is telling God what to do. So I use a top 10 format for my speeches. This is because I've seen so many tech speakers, and with the exception of Rackspace speakers, I'll tell you that most tech speakers suck. You probably know that too, right? So not only do they suck, they go long. If you think about it, that's really a bad combination, right? It's like, you know, if you suck and your speech is short, it's okay. And if you're great and your speech is long, it's okay. But if you suck and go long, that's like being stupid and arrogant, right? That's like being slow and hard to use. And so what I do is I use a top 10 format so that you know I have 10 key points, so that you know about how much longer my speech will last in case you think I suck. I hope you don't think I suck, but in case you do, I have 10 key points. So this is the art of innovation as I learned at Apple. I've also been an entrepreneur, I've been an investor, and I've been a writer. So I can't tell you that I did everything in this speech correctly, but this is what I think people should do as opposed to what I did, because I made many, many mistakes. To me, the start of great innovation is a desire to make meaning. And typically it happens because companies are asking and answering very simple questions like, you know, shouldn't there be a better way? or isn't it interesting that, which is very different than how many people believe entrepreneurship and innovation happens, which is people sit down and they have this grand vision laid out for the future. I think it starts much simply with a desire to make meaning, to change the world, to make the world a better place. And I would also say that the companies who sit down and try to plot out this grandiose scheme to control the world, usually they fail because they attract the wrong kind of people. They attract people who are interested primarily in making money. My observation is that if you make meaning, if you make the world a better place, a natural consequence is that you'll also make money. But if you desire simply to make money, you will probably fail. And I am so proud to have worked for Apple because I think it made meaning. It made people more creative and productive. So let's just look at some companies and the meaning they made. Apple, I think, democratized computers. That it brought computers to people who would have never used computers before. Imagine if user interface stopped at MS-DOS. We would not all be sitting in this room. The next thing is Google. Google, for me, democratized information. Now you didn't have to own a library. You didn't have to be royalty. You didn't have to be the head of a large company. You had information at your fingertips. Anybody could have this kind of meaning. And finally, eBay, to me, democratized commerce. They made it so that you didn't have to be a huge retail store to sell stuff online. Anybody could. You know, Pierre Omidyar always tells the story about the genesis of eBay. And the way he says it is that his girlfriend at the time, now his wife, was a Pez dispenser collector. And she needed a way to sell Pez dispensers online, and there was no way, so he created eBay. Between you and me, I've asked him about it, and it's a total bullshit story. From the very start, he wanted to make a perfect market, but he thought it's a much better way to say my girlfriend wanted this, and she wanted to sell Pez dispensers, which is true. It is a better story than having this grandiose picture of trying to control commerce on the web. But these are examples of companies and how they made meaning. And I think this is the most important step, that you decide to make meaning with your innovation. The second step is that which slide is up here? The second step is that you make a mantra. Now, in America in particular, I think we spend much too much time making mission statements. So I've been in organizations with mission statements. And let's just go through that process in case you've never been through it. Typically, you take the top 20 or 30 people of your company. You have an offsite. This offsite is at a resort with a golf course. There's high correlation, golf course and mission statement. So you take your top people. It's a 2-day offsite. The first day, you have a meeting facilitator work with the team to build teamwork. Typically, this meeting facilitator is not an employee. It's an outside contractor. If you think about it, the reason why that's true is because if you had someone on your team who could lead, you wouldn't need an offsite. So by definition, if you need an offsite, you probably don't have a leader. So you hire this leader for this day. Now, in California, anyway, the way we do it, it's usually a woman. This woman has a dual-track career. She is not only an executive coach, offsite leader, she's also a Lamaze instructor. In fact, she's a vegetarian, Prius-driving, Birkenstocks-wearing Lamaze instructor. And if you think about it, that kind of makes sense because pushing out a mission statement is just like pushing out a baby. So, it makes perfect logic sense. So the first day you spend in these cross-functional teams with the people from your company you cannot stand. And you do like exercises where you fall into each other's arms and you close your eyes and you learn to trust each other and kumbaya and hallelujah. The second day you're in a room like this and there's a pad of paper and there's 50 of you in there and you figure you gave 2 days of your life to this stupid outdoor exercise thing, so you ought to at least get one word in the mission statement. That's why most American mission statements have 50 words, because everybody believes they deserve one word in it. So you come up with something like this. This is the mission statement of Wendy's, believe it or not. So let me read it to you. The mission of Wendy's is to deliver superior quality products and services for our customers and communities through leadership, innovation, and partnerships. Okay, I'm a father of 4 children. When the children outnumber the adults, in basketball terminology, when you've gone from man to zone, you have a greater appreciation of fast food. In my family, French fries is the favorite vegetable, okay? So I have a great appreciation of Wendy's. I've eaten at Wendy's. I've driven through Wendy's many, many times. I will say, though, in all the times that I went through Wendy's and ate at Wendy's, it has never, ever occurred to me that what I am participating in is leadership, innovation, and partnerships. I always thought I was just buying a cheeseburger, French fries, and a Coke, right? And so this is so typical of a mission statement. If you took the word Wendy's out of this mission statement, you would have no idea who this refers to. No idea whatsoever. And that is a fundamental flaw. It is too long. No one can remember it. If you went up to Wendy's employees and asked them, what is the mission statement of your company? I dare say none of them could repeat this verbatim. Not even the founder of Wendy's could repeat this verbatim. I know this is true because he's dead. But this is too long. So what I want you to do to foster your innovation is to create a mantra. You actually heard a mantra for Rackspace today. But here are some examples. So I think the mantra of Wendy's should be healthy fast food. 3 words that describe what Wendy's is trying to do. Nike. Nike has a great slogan, just do it. But the mantra of Nike, why Nike exists, is authentic athletic performance. And finally, FedEx. FedEx, when you absolutely, positively want something, someplace, by some time, when you want peace of mind, you use FedEx. So here are 3 examples using 2 or 3 words of how you can have a mantra describe what you are doing. Why does your innovation exist? Is it for healthy fast food? Is it for authentic athletic performance? Is it for peace of mind? Or is it for the typical mission statement? You know, we serve to enable our employees to self-actualize their goals while providing shareholders with a meaningful return, while exceeding the expectations of our customers without killing any dolphins, right? Healthy fast food, authentic athletic performance, peace of mind. Make a mantra. The next thing is a matter of perspective. I think great innovation occurs when you jump to the next curve, not when you duke it out on the same curve. Very good historical example. There used to be an ice harvesting industry in the United States. This meant that in the late 1800s, early 1900s, Bubba and Junior in the northern states would go to frozen lakes and ponds with a saw and a horse and a sleigh, and they would harvest ice. This was Ice 1.0. Big help. It enabled people to store food longer. 30 years later, Ice 2.0. Now we have the ice factory. The ice factory is a considerable technological breakthrough because now it didn't have to be winter and it didn't have to be a cold city. You could freeze water centrally and the Iceman would deliver ice to your house. Major breakthrough. Bubba and Junior did not have to live in upstate New York anymore. You could live in Hawaii and have an ice factory. Finally, Ice 3.0. Ice 3.0 was the refrigerator curve. Even better, now the Iceman did not have to deliver ice to your house. You had your own personal ice factory. You had your own PC, your own personal chiller. The very interesting historical fact is that none of the ice harvesters became ice factories, and none of the ice factories became refrigerator companies. It's because most institutions define themselves in terms of what they already do. We cut blocks of ice. We freeze water in a factory. We build a mechanical device called a refrigerator. And if you look at our industry, if you define your business as we make an electric typewriter, we have keys that strike the paper, we have a little ball that spins and strikes the paper, then you would not get onto the next curve of computing, right? So that's why none of us use Smith Corona today. None of us use Remington Rand. If you think about it, the real action occurs on the next curve. If you go from daisy wheel printer to laser printer to 3D printer, if you go from telegraph to telephone to VoIP, it's getting to the next curve. That's where the real action happens. So if you truly want to be innovative, you can't just do better sameness. You can't do a better telegraph. You have to do a telephone. And you can't do simply a better telephone. You need to get to the next curve. Don't die on the curve that you started on. It's because companies define themselves, again, with the process they currently do. What they should step back and realize, what benefits do we provide our customers? Because the ice harvester, the ice factory, and the refrigerator company all provide the same benefits. The mechanism by which they provide that benefit changes. So theoretically, if you were an ice harvester and you learned about an ice factory, if you define your business as providing cleanliness and convenience, you would jump to the next curve. You would leap to the next curve because a factory is much better than harvesting. Jump to the next curve. The fourth thing that I like to explain in innovation are the qualities of great products and great services. They form the acronym DICE, D-I-C-E. So the D in DICE stands for depth. I think that great products and great services are deep. Lots of features, lots of functionality. Rackspace is an example. Extremely deep product offering. This is a simple analog example of depth. This is a fanning sandal made by Reef. Every sandal in the world has one primary function, to protect your feet. This sandal has a second function, much deeper. That circled area there's a little metal clip right next to the left of the word Reef. That metal clip's purpose is to open beer bottles. This sandal has twice the depth of any other sandal in the market. Great products are also intelligent. When you look at them, you think, my God, this company understood my pain, my problem. This is the GT500 Shelby Mustang. This Mustang has 650 horsepower. Okay? This is truly a badass Mustang. If you're not into cars, I'll translate this for you. This Mustang is 6.8 Priuses. So about a month ago, I became 60 years old. And when you become 60 years old, you go through a crisis of impotency, a crisis of inadequacy, a crisis of a lack of confidence in your masculinity. All these things happen. So I would love to buy one of these Mustangs to compensate for these feelings of inadequacy. That said, I have 4 children, as I told you. My children are 9, 12, 19, and 21. The 19 and 21 are both boys. Both have licenses. And I know that no matter how carefully I plan it, there may be instances where they would have to drive my car. Dad's going to Chicago for Rackspace. Let's drop him off at the airport. All right. And the thought of either of those 2 boys driving a car with 650 horsepower is just immoral. But luckily, Ford makes a very intelligent product called the My Key. And what the My Key enables you to do is program the top speed of the car into the key. So on those rare occasions where they might have to drive my Mustang, I would give them a key programmed to go no faster than 55 miles an hour. That is an intelligent product. Great products and services are also complete. Think of the totality of something like Google. It's not just search, it's analytics, it's Gmail, it's Google+, it's Google Docs, it's Google Apps. It's the totality of it. And if it's a car, it's not just the leather and the steel and the rubber, it's the support. If it's software, it's the totality of the support and the APIs and the documentation and the conferences. It's the totality of a product that makes it great. Great products are also empowering. This is a picture of a MacBook Air. The difference between Macintosh and Windows is that Macintosh empowers its owner. It makes its owner more creative and productive. Windows, you have to fight. Windows, you have to wrestle to the ground and defeat it. It's either you or Windows. You don't become one with Windows. You master Windows, you control Windows, you defeat Windows. It is a very different relationship between your computer and you. If you're a Macintosh or a Windows user, Macintosh empowers people. And finally, Great products are elegant. Someone cared about the user interface. Someone cared about the design. So as you're trying to jump curves, ask yourself, are you creating something that's deep, intelligent, complete, empowering, and elegant? The next concept in innovation is a concept that I stole from Bobby McFerrin. He had a great song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. What I think innovators and revolutionaries do when they develop great products and services, they don't worry, be crappy. Which is to say that if you wait for the perfect time and you wait for the perfect product, you will never ship, and life will pass you by. In my case, we shipped a Macintosh in 1984. It had 128K of RAM. We thought that was an ocean of RAM. It had 400K floppy drive, 3 times the size of any other floppy drive. We were working on a secret 5 megabyte hard disk. 5 megabyte hard. You can't get a font that's 5 megabytes today, right? And thanks to my efforts, there was no software. However, we shipped. We shipped with all those issues, and we were right to ship, because if we had waited for chips to be cheap enough and chips to be fast enough and for software, for color and for flat displays and for Ethernet and for everything, we would have never shipped. And I learned a very valuable lesson. Don't worry, be crappy. Now, I am not saying you should ship crap, okay? I'm saying you should ship something that's jumped curves, that's dicey, and it can have elements of crappiness to it. This is very different than shipping crap. And if you're in the biotech business, ignore this recommendation completely. Number six is to let 100 flowers blossom. This I stole from Chairman Mao, although I failed to see how he implemented it. If anything, he let 100 flowers blossom and then he cut them off. But letting 100 flowers blossom in my context means that you take your best shot at branding and positioning and marketing your innovation, who your customer is, how your customer should use that product. You take your best shot, but fundamentally, you put it out there and you see what happens. And there are many instances where people will use your product, use your service in unintended ways. And frankly, lots of companies freak out when this happens. My God, the wrong people are using our products and services in ways we did not intend. And they totally freak out. And they schedule another off-site with this vegetarian Prius driving Lamaze instructor, because we need to get our team together and decide, how do we reposition our product? How do we get the right people buying our product, not the wrong people buying our product? My advice is that if this ever occurs for you, first of all, you take the money. Do not be proud. You take the money. And then you ask the people who are buying your product or service, why are you buying it? And you give them more reasons to buy it. This is very different than talking to the people who aren't buying your product or service and trying to fix it for them. My observation is that seldom works. And so with Apple, there's a great example of this. So in the mid-'80s, we tried to make Macintosh a spreadsheet, database, and word processing machine. And if you can remember correctly, we were basically 0 for 3 there. We absolutely failed making Macintosh a spreadsheet, database, and word processing machine. Luckily, there was a blossom called PageMaker. And PageMaker created a field of flowers called desktop publishing. And desktop publishing saved Apple. If it was not for PageMaker and desktop publishing, there would be no Apple today, right? Imagine if there were no Apple today. We would all have phones with real keyboards. We'd have phones where we could use it after 5 p.m. in the afternoon. The battery didn't die, right? The GPS would actually get there. You could put it in your front pocket and it wouldn't bend. It would be a different world, right? So PageMaker and desktop publishing was a flower that blossomed. The truth is, because I was there, I know for firsthand, we had no idea what desktop publishing was. The people at Aldous, the creators of PageMaker, brought desktop publishing to us. It was a flower that blossomed. Thank God that it blossomed. An analog example. Suppose you're the VP of marketing or CMO of Avon, and you have this great new product called Skin So Soft. Guess what Skin So Soft is supposed to do? Make your skin soft. Duh. But you find out that many moms are buying Skin So Soft, not to make their skin soft, but to use it as an insect repellent on their children. This is not the positioning you wanted. You did not intend Skin So Soft to be a replacement for DDT. Okay. So what do? I say you let 100 flowers blossom. You take the money. If moms want to use Skin So Soft for an insect repellent, you declare victory. Hallelujah. Take the money. It is now the kindest, gentlest, softest insect repellent. The message here is let 100 flowers blossom. Number seven is that you be unafraid of polarizing people. Great innovation polarizes people. Some people love a Macintosh. Some people hate Macintosh. Some people love Android. Some people hate Android. I love Android. I think Android is far superior to iOS. I love Android. This is a picture of a TiVo. A TiVo polarizes people. I have in our house 4 TiVos. It's because I travel so much, I have to time shift everything. Now, people like me love TiVo for that very purpose, right? And, you know, listen, I don't want to give you a false impression. It's not like I'm recording PBS, okay? I'm recording Orange is the New Black, 24, House of Cards. You know, I love those kind of shows. I love, you know, my typical show is retired Navy SEALs living a good life with his wife and daughter. They get blown up by a terrorist. He gets pissed off, goes into a drunken stupor. President calls him up and says the CIA and FBI are totally ineffective. Here's the presidential pardon in advance. I want you to do whatever it takes. Forget the Constitution. Just kill all the bad guys you can. This guy goes off. He starts killing people. He finds out there's a mole from the Mossad, you know, that he falls in love with her. He doesn't know what to do. That's my typical kind of TV show, right? So I love TiVo for recording such shows. But if you are a Fortune 500 brand, or if you are an agency, you hate TiVo. Because people like me, we watch commercials 1 day a year. In fact, on that day, we watch the commercials and we don't watch the game. That's Super Bowl Sunday. That's the only day the whole year I watch commercials. So TiVo polarizes people. TiVo polarizes people. Macintosh polarizes people. Harley Davidson polarizes people. Android polarizes people. Basically, great stuff polarizes people. So I'm not telling you that you should intentionally piss people off, okay? But I'm telling you that revolutionary products tend to polarize people. It's okay. Number eight, what I learned is that the hardest part of being an innovator is churning products to make 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, and 2.0. And it's hard because to be a successful innovator, a great deal of the time you have to refuse to listen to other people. Because other people are going to tell you that they want better sameness. That they're going to tell Apple in the mid-'80s, we don't want the cute little graphics toy with a one-button mouse with integrated text and graphics. We want a better, faster, cheaper Apple II. And if you want to get into business, then do a better, faster, cheaper MS-DOS machine. Either become compact or buy compact. And so to be a revolutionary, you need to learn to ignore what your customers are telling you because they can only tell you how to revise the current curve. They can't tell you how to jump to the next curve. Having said that, once you ship, then you need to flip that bit and you need to start listening to your customers as they tell you why Apple Talk is too slow. You need Ethernet, right, for example. And why you need to print double-sided on your laser printer. And you need to print envelopes on your printer. And people in Europe use a different size paper, so it can't be just 8.5 by 11. So one of the hardest things is to flip from ignoring people telling you how to evolve your product to listening to people once you've shipped a revolution. The hardest step. It took the Macintosh division 2 years to significantly revise Macintosh because we were in such denial that we could not listen to market feedback. This is the hardest step of innovation, churning, taking version 1 and making version 2 out of it. Step number 9 is all the marketing that any innovator needs to know. It's a very simple graph. On the vertical axis, you have the degree of uniqueness of your product or service. On the horizontal axis, you have the value of your product or service. Yes, this is a 2x2 matrix, and if any of you have ever used McKinsey, you know that you want to be in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, McKinsey will charge you $500,000 just to tell you that. I'm telling you that for free. There are 4 corners to this 2x2 matrix. In the bottom right corner is a corner where you create something of value, but it is not unique. You slap the same operating system on the same hardware. Guess what? You have to compete on price. It's not a bad corner to be. At least you're making something valuable, but it's always about the price. In the top left corner, now you have something that's truly unique. Only you do it, but it is of no value. In that corner, you are just plain stupid. The bottom left corner is the worst corner. The bottom left corner is where you have something that's unique and not valuable. I call this the .com corner. That's the worst corner of all. This is a little graphic illustrating dog food because Pets.com is the poster child for this corner. So let us recall the Pets.com story. This is how Pets.com was pitched. There are 300 million Americans. 1 in 4 owns a dog. 75 million dogs. Each dog eats 2 cans of dog food per day. 150 million cans of dog food per day times 7 days a week. We're talking B2C here, actually B2D, not B2B. This is a 7-day-a-week business. 150 million cans of dog food per day. With our rock star programmers, how hard could it be to build a site to tap a mere 1% of this 150 million cans of dog food per day? Conservatively speaking, that's 1.5 million cans of dog food per day. Let's say average price is $1 per can. That's $1.5 million times 365. We're talking about a $500 or $600 million business, conservatively speaking, first year. Okay? That's the pitch. Let me explain the technology. This is supply chain management. We have a cow. We have a dog. We need to take the cow, shoot it in the head, cut it into pieces, put it in a can, get it to the dog. This is not a hard business. Why is there a pet food store in the middle of this supply chain? That pet food store serves no meaningful purpose. Why does it get 25% margin? Do people go into the pet food store and make an informed decision? Do they taste the dog food? No. It's pieces of dead cow in a can, for crying out loud. So we're going to remove the dog food store. By removing the dog food store, now you can discount dog food 25%. That's the value proposition. The problem is that you can take 25% off the top, but then, guess what? Somehow you still have to get the dead cow in the can to the dog. So now you have to incorporate UPS and shipping and handling, and you add back 25% in handling and shipping. So it was no cheaper. And then somebody had to be at home for many people when the dead cow in the can came to your house. So it was less convenient and just as expensive. Hence, it was of no value. But stupid people like me in Silicon Valley, we looked and said, well, Sequoia has a Pets.com tapping this 1.5 million can dog food total addressable market per day. So if Sequoia has one to tap this huge market, we need one. So that's why there was Pets.com, ePets.com, iPets.com, Last Minute Desktop, Peapod Pets.com, Webband Pets.com. There were 16 ways to spend as much money for dead cows in cans online as it was in the store. That's the worst corner. The corner that every innovator wants to be is in the upper right-hand corner. In that upper right-hand corner are some companies like this. This is Fandango. So for a family with 4 TiVos, you pretty much can assume we love movies. We do love movies. And the only way that I can buy a ticket and have that ticket printed in my hand before I go to the theater is Fandango. Fandango is unique. It's the only way I can buy a ticket for a movie online. And it's valuable because when you are taking 4 children to a movie, you do not want to find out that that movie is sold out. You do not want to wait in line. Fandango. This is a Breitling emergency watch. With this watch, if I unscrew this big knob and pull out the antenna, it puts out an emergency signal. This emergency signal goes to airplanes. Next thing you know, Kevin Costner is in a Coast Guard helicopter looking for you, okay? So this is not something you do when you took the wrong exit off the freeway. This is something you do when you went helicopter skiing or you went sailing and you are about to die, right? This watch is very unique and valuable. It's the only watch that can save your life. This is a smart car. We all have cars that can park parallel to the curb. That's when there's lots of parking. How many of us have a car that can park perpendicular to a curb? Not too many. This is a unique and valuable car when parking is really tight. The 10th thing is that great innovators, great revolutionaries, they can pitch, they can present, they can speak. Some tips for you about pitching. First thing is to customize your introduction, to always show that you know exactly who you're talking to and you can relate to the audience. Build some kind of link to the audience. In this case, we share, or at least I believe that we share, a love of Rackspace. Rackspace is so good for our site. I love to use pictures. This is a picture of a LG washer and dryer. The scenario here is that I was in Brazil speaking to the LG management of South America. However, I realized after I got to Brazil, you know, Guy, you have an LG washer and dryer. You should have taken a picture of your LG washer and dryer so you could explain that you're a customer, right? So, you know about the two boys that I don't want driving their Mustangs? So, I send them a text message. I say, boys, get off Call of Duty that I bought you, on the Xbox that I bought you, in the house that I bought you. Take the iPhones that I bought you, go downstairs, take a picture of the LG washer and dryer. I'm in Brazil. I need these pictures right away. I'm about to make the speech. Well, if any of you have teenage boys, half an hour later, nothing happens, right? Okay. So I have two boys. Nick is the older one. Noah's the younger one. I send a text message to my older boy, Nick, following up. And I say, Nick, did you get my text messages? Because I don't exactly see pictures flowing into my inbox. Nick says, Noah, his younger brother's going to take the pictures. By the way, since you're talking to LG, can you get us some free TVs? Right? You see my response below. Luckily, Noah did send me the pictures. And you open up a speech to LG showing you own an LG washer and dryer. Trust me, it works. So more pictures that I use to customize an intro. When I was in Russia, I opened up with this picture, and I said, God, I had no idea you're Russian. You really have big balls in Russia, man. And this is years before they took over Ukraine, okay? So, and this is my favorite picture. This is me in the Grand Bazaar of Istanbul. So the guy behind me is the shopkeeper, right? That guy's happy. You know why that guy's happy? You know what he's thinking? He's thinking, this dumbass American is going to buy this fez. This fez has been in my family's shop for 2 generations. And finally, I found someone stupid enough to buy it. I make people happy wherever I go in the world, okay? But trust me, if you're speaking for Turkcell and you open up with a picture of you standing in the Grand Bazaar wearing a fez, people in Turkey love the introduction. The message is customize your introduction. Next thing is to follow what I call the 10-20-30 rule of keynote or PowerPoint, which is the optimal number of slides is 10. You'll be lucky to get 10 points across. Now, you're a smart audience. You're thinking, Guy, you're such a hypocrite. You're on like number 50 right now. What's the deal? Why are you telling us to use 10? Let me explain. You are not me, okay? Why? If you have a 60-minute meeting, why am I telling you to do it in 20 minutes? It's because, to this day, many people use a Windows laptop. And if you would use a Windows laptop, I know as well as you do, you need 40 minutes to make it work with the projector. And the last thing is you need the 30-point font. That should be the minimal font size. The Rackspace slides, a very good example of it. They use large size fonts, big graphics, right? An optimal rule of thumb is figure out who the oldest person is in your audience, divide his or her age by 2. Talking to 60-year-old people, divide by 2, 30. Talking to 50-year-old people, divide by 2, 25. Someday you may be pitching a 16-year-old VC. That day, use the 8-point font. Until that day, 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30 points. And my 11th thing as a bonus for you, don't let the bozos grind you down. They're going to tell you it can't be done, it shouldn't be done, it isn't necessary. Bozosity is like the flu. You need to be inoculated to it. I'm going to give you some bozosity now so that when you encounter bozosity, you can resist it. You will have built up the antigens. Bozosity number 1. Thomas Watson, chairman of IBM, thought that there was a world market for 5 computers. I have 5 Macintoshes in my house. I have all the computers he anticipated in the world in my house today. This telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. The device is inherently of no value to us. Western Union wrote off telephony in 1876. Oops! Western Union should be PayPal today. It's kind of hard to go from telephone to internet if you write off, it's hard to go from telegraph to internet if you write off telephone in the middle. You know what I'm saying? It's too big a chasm to cross. And if you're Ken Olsen, you say, Steve and Woz, there's no reason why anyone would want a computer in their home. They could just go back to the office and use Quicken running on a mini computer. What's the problem? In each case, if you listen to the bozo, rich, successful, famous bozos, you might not have tried your revolution. You might not have tried your innovation. The key message, there's really two kinds of bozos. One is a loser, slovenly, disgusting, pocket protector, Japanese watch, rusty car. That bozo is not hard to ignore. You look at that bozo, you say, loser. I'll ignore that bozo. No problem. Only a loser listens to a loser. The dangerous bozo is the bozo who's running IBM, running DEC, running Western Union, running Apple, running Google, running Yahoo, running YouTube, whatever it is, famous, rich, dresses in all black, wears lots of stuff that ends in I like Armani, owns lots of stuff that ends in I like Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, Audi is okay. That's the dangerous bozo. So I'm inoculating to dangerous bozosity. Don't let the bozos grind you down. And I know I'm late. I'm like 30 seconds late, right? What are you going to do, not invite me? So, you're going to shut off my rack space thing? Right, what are you going to do? What can you possibly do to me? Nothing. I'm just going to give you a 30-second explanation of what I do during the day. So I'm chief evangelist of a company called Canva, and it makes just the coolest online graphics design tool. So just try this, okay? It's available on an iPad. It enables you to design very beautiful graphics. Think fast, free, and easy Photoshop. That's my 10-second ad for what I do. That's Canva. Please try Canva. But to summarize, and I can stand up, my leg is killing me. To summarize, remember, it is about making meaning. It is about changing the world. You change the world by jumping curves, by doing something that's deep, intelligent, complete, empowering, and elegant. Doing something dicey. Don't worry, be crappy. Again, I'm not saying to ship crap. I'm saying ship something that is truly great. It can have elements of crappiness to it. Don't forget, you have to go from version 1 to version 1.1 to 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 2.0. Don't forget the 2x2 matrix. You want something that's valuable and unique. That's where meaning made. That's where history's made. That's where money's made, that upper right-hand corner. But above all, don't let the bozos grind you down. Don't let people tell you it can't be done, it shouldn't be done, it isn't necessary. Because if you listen to those people and never try, you will never know. And that's the worst outcome of all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.